Thank you for stopping by Ballistic BBQ. On this video, not only will I be smoking up this certified Akaushi Beef Brisket, but I'm going to be showing you a product that just hit the market. It's pretty darn cool, the meter. Let's get going. All right, first things first, let's take a look at this brisket. This is a 13-pound certified Akaushi Beef Brisket. Really excited about this cook. This morning I'm taking this out of the cryovac so I can kind of let it set out and come up to room temp. And almost had a tear running down my face because I spent a lot of money on this brisket. Check it out. It's about a 5-inch long, 1-inch deep laceration across the grain, and it goes at this weird diagonal. So as I slice this brisket this way, it's going to cut some of my slices in half. So kind of bummed about that. Anyway, I did some very light trimming on this. The fat is just like butter on this brisket, so I just took it down a little bit, cut off some of the very little silver skin here that I removed. So let's season this bad boy up. I'm going to use some Worcester sauce. And I really like using this. It just has some great flavors that enhance but don't really take away from anything. And this is the Akaushi. It's the Japanese red steer, red cow, red Wagyu. And we are just going to use coarsely ground kosher salt and ground black pepper for the seasoning on this. Again, I just really wanted to let the flavor of this beef shine. And things happen. I mean, believe me, I'm going to contact the ranch that is producing this and just let them know, hey, it's a quality ranch, a quality product, and I know they take pride in their cattle. This is just, again, this is my luck. This is what happens to me. And there we go. Let's check out that meter. All right, let's get to that equipment part of this video. This is the meter. This is the box that comes in. You open up this box. You have a nice wooden block that holds the meter itself. And this is a fully wireless meat probe. It actually tells you the internal temperature of the meat and the internal temperature of the cooker you're using to cook the meat. And this thing's pretty darn cool. Now, I got to know these guys about 1.5 years ago when they had a Kickstarter project going. It took them a while to where they felt comfortable enough to release this for sale. And I think they have it pretty well dialed in now. They sent me this to test, to kind of play around with. They wanted my opinion on it, and I've got a very high opinion of this thing. Ultimately, they asked if I'd be interested in shooting a sponsored video. So for those of you who are wondering, yes, this is a sponsored video. I will say this, however, I'm not going to shoot any sponsored video that I truly don't believe in the product, and this thing is a game changer, you'll see. So inside of this wooden block here are batteries, just some AA batteries. It keeps the meter charged. So once you remove it from the charger, this thing goes live, goes hot, I guess you'd say. The black tip here has the sensor for the ambient temperature. They're calling it ambient temperature, the cooker temperature. Then the silver part here, that's your meat probe. And you have a line here, and that's the depth you want to push this into the meat. Basically, you don't want the cooker probe part to be too close to that, cold piece of meat. It runs off of an app, and they have it for iOS and Android. So I have my iPhone here. Yep, it goes through Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. So you want to make sure that you're on the same, network. Well, you'll see. So it's picking this up now, as you can see. So next thing we're going to do is hit Setup Cook. It'll give you the animal you're cooking. We're doing beef. Give you a selection, steaks, ribeye, whatever. We're going with brisket, 145 degrees. Now, of course, we're not going to cook a brisket to 145. I'm taking it up to 195. pretty darn sure that the brisket's going to be done at a higher temp, but I cook my briskets, my shoulders, everything to tenderness, so I'm not really concerned too much with the temperature, as I am using this to kind of monitor the cook itself. I want to know when this thing stalls. The Japanese beef, they're notorious for like doing a double stall, so I really want to keep an eye on just the progress that we're making with my cook. Now, so we're ready to go here. However, I'm going to be cooking this in my ceramic grill, my Primo, and this has a difficulty transmitting through, containers when it's in a cooker. So they have a system set up, it's called Meter Link, and you can use another device as a sort of a bridge. So I hit settings, I'm going to scroll up, and you can see here, enable Meter Link. It's already set to be enabled. So what I'm going to do is use my iPad mini. Now, the two devices have to be on the same network, which they are. Let's go to the app. We're ready to go. You want to make sure that you have that little icon there that says that they are now communicating, the two devices are communicating. Now, in speaking with the guys over there who make the meter, they're telling me that they're working on a block that actually has a bridge inside of this. So if you don't have or don't want to use a second device, it'll act as the bridge, which is a really, really good idea. So let's go ahead and get this thing inserted into the brisket. All right, let's give you another good look at this meter probe here. So again, this tip right here monitors the temperature, the ambient temperature, or in this case, it's going to be the temperature of the cooker. And then here we have the probe, obviously. This gives you the temperature of the meat. And right here we have a line which indicates the depth that you want to push this into. Again, we don't want this tip here really close to this meat since it's going to be a lot colder than the inside of my cooker. So let's get this guy in here. Here we go. Okay, now let's take a look at that app. I went ahead and hit Start Cook just to get this meter reading everything. And you can see here the temperature, the internal temperature of the brisket is currently 56 degrees. Again, that's my target is 190. And the ambient temperature, so the temperature of the inside of my kitchen right now is 74 degrees. I have the Primo preheated to 250 degrees. Let's get out in the patio and start cooking. All right, again, I'm cooking on the Primo Oval XL today. I'm using mesquite wood. I just was in the mesquite mood. It's got a nice kind of a spicy flavor. It's an indigenous wood out in this area. You have to be very careful with it because a little goes a long way, but it holds up very well to beef, or beef holds up very well to mesquite. So let's get it on the pit. We're running at 250 degrees, by the way. I go fat down on this cooker. I'm an advocate of directing that fat cap towards where the heat's coming from to protect the meat. Let's go ahead and check out the meter, see how it's doing on the phone app. All right, so this is on my iPad mini. I just closed the lid so you can see the temperatures are only reading 177. That's going to start climbing. Let me see, time elapsed 18 minutes. That's because that's when I turned this app on. When I activated it in my kitchen, I had to do all the camera setup and everything. You can see it's climbing. We have a graph here, which is pretty cool. So that purple line down below is the meat temperature, and this green is the ambient temperature, or in this case, the temperature inside my pit now. This little flat line here was in the kitchen, in my patio, then as soon as it spiked up, that's when it hit the pit. So I get the same exact data on my phone as I have on the iPad mini. I can scroll through the different graphs and everything, so it's a pretty handy device here. I'm just going to monitor the temp, make sure my pit temperature is where I want it to be, and after about 2 hours I'll be lifting the lid, just checking the brisket for moisture. I want to make sure it's not drying out, which these things, they're so airtight, they run pretty moist inside anyway. If it's looking a little dry, I'm just going to baste it with a little bit of unsalted beef broth. So we'll be checking on it in about 2 hours. See you in a bit. All right, the brisket's been on the pit now for about 2.5 hours. Just took a peek at it, and I'm going to go ahead and mist it with a little bit of that unsalted beef broth. Smells amazing. So I've been really happy with the meter. You can see the app, it's keeping all the data. Again, it hasn't been on for 2 hours, 51 minutes. Internal temperature on the brisket right now is 147. Right now, temperature inside the pit is 217 degrees Fahrenheit, but as you guys saw, I had the lid open, so it's going to take a little while. It's already rising. So it's just brisket business as usual. I'll just keep an eye on it. Again, I'll give it another look in about an hour or so, and if it needs any misting, I'll mist it. See you in a bit. All right, we are at 8 hours, 45 minutes, and this brisket is done. We hit a temperature of 202, and it's as tender as I want it to be with the probe going in. Let's check it out. So this is a pretty straightforward cook. You guys saw me spritz it after about, I don't know, what is it, 2.5 hours or so. I spritz it again after another 2 hours, and then I didn't touch it. And I decided, and I was kind of debating this during the cook, not to wrap it. So we did not wrap this brisket. Feels pretty darn tender, so I think it was a success, and I'm really happy with the bark and the color there. So anyway, I'm going to pull it, wrap it in foil, let it rest for about an hour, then I'll meet you guys inside. We'll slice it up and give it a try. See you in a bit. Okay, so the brisket has rested for an hour. And again, guys, I just want to reiterate that this app was spot on. It was pretty cool. You can see the graph of the whole cook, and you can see the little dips when I opened up the pit to spray it and everything. It's pretty neat. Pretty neat having that data just to look at. Let's try this brisket out. All right, so this was pretty thin at the tip here. I don't expect this part to be all that tender, but let's get through this. Pretty crispy bark here, which I like. And as expected, this laceration has pretty much cut all of my slices in half. Check out this, the point here. Nice and juicy. Wow. There you go, nice bend. Let's give this a try. Really good, really moist. Again, I like the taste of mesquite. That mesquite smoke's really good, but again, if you use mesquite, you have to go light. This was perfect. Anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. Check out the meter. I'll have a link down below. Check out their app. I mean, it's pretty fun exploring the app, all the features that it has. I am really looking forward to using this thing on a rotisserie cook. I mean, when can you monitor a continuous cook on the rotisserie? Never. So now you can. Pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video. I'm not doing a review because I've already reviewed this, and all I have in my fridge right now are beers that I have reviewed already. So cheers.